Welcome to another episode of Rectec Reels. I'm Hannah McDonagh, the Commercial Success Manager here at Rectec, and joining me today is Adrian from Hireful, and we're going to be talking about chatbots. So, Adrian, if you don't mind introducing yourself.
Thanks, Hannah. Yeah, my name is Adrian McDonagh. I'm one of the co-founders here at Hireful, and we are an applicant tracking software provider. We've got about 500 customers all in the UK, typically working with organizations between about 100 maybe 2,000 staff. And that's also where we tend to focus a lot of our efforts around running training sessions, webinars, workshops, and other events. We've been doing that for 15 years now. So spent a lot of time this year talking to people about AI subjects and chatbots and getting sort of their feedback on where they're at and how comfortable they are with some of these tricky issues.
Definitely. And I think AI is such a buzzword and people have so many different kind of views on AI. Is it scary? Like, should we be implementing it? Is it going to replace people and so on and so forth? But I think a chatbot is such a good way to actually introduce AI into your processes. And I mean, with 15 years of experience, you're a good person to talk to about it. So, Adrian, in your own sort of words, what would you say are some of the kind of preconceived issues that you're finding people have about chatbots?
Yeah, I actually think like chatbots are probably, or some of the examples I'll give are probably one of the easiest and simplest first projects to do in AI. And I think that's some of the positive feedback we've been getting as well, talking to customers. But chatbots themselves definitely have a bad reputation. I think, the original sort of chatbots we're used to are those sort of, give you various options. You want to speak to someone about your bill for your utilities, something like that, and you're getting three options, none of which are the ones you want, and you're clicking through and you're clicking through, and it's the main value of it is reducing the pressure on their call center. It's not delivering a better customer experience. Now they're probably in the past really with AI. What we've seen with generative AI's ability to understand the question and know how to reply back to you, that it can deliver a great experience. But as a user of software myself, I've seen people, for example, like HubSpot, which we love. I love jumping on live chat with their support team. But now the first step there is actually an AI bot. That's fine if my question is really simple. Quite often it's not. So the AI bot is not as good as the support team. So I think also like this sort of first efforts for a lot of organizations at their AI chatbots are also a little bit frustrating for the users. And the main issue there is the chatbot for like HubSpot support doesn't know as much as the HubSpot human support agent. So of course, you're always going to want to speak to the human agent.
Sure.
So that's the challenge. But I think what we're sort of proposing is sort of very specific use cases where you can provide the chatbot with all of the information, or a good majority of the information it wants, that then ensures a really good experience for whether that's a member of staff or whether that's a prospective candidate or maybe someone you're onboarding, ensures a good experience.
Definitely. And I think every single person watching this can probably say that they've had a bad experience with a chatbot at some point or another. And it is really frustrating because I think we're in this weird in between of I just want to speak to a human, but actually I also want this solved as quickly as possible and don't want to be in a queue with 1 gazillion people. So it's this weird in between that we're in. And I think because people have such little faith in some chatbots, it's like it's a bit chicken and egg in that situation. So I think with recruitment, as you sort of touched upon, like you just have to get it right, otherwise you end up losing candidates or whoever it might be. It just a bad experience can kind of ruin things for everybody. So I mean, with that in mind, you touched upon that there's some really good use cases for a chatbot. What are some of those?
Yeah, well, I think actually two of the three use cases I'll touch on, I actually think deliver a better experience than the current status quo by light years, by multiples. So the first one would be like we've got a careers bot now sat on our career site. So we've got a good career site, although we're a small company, we build career sites. So we built ourselves a nice career site as a bit of a showcase. And there's lots of information on there, including like an FAQs page with about 25 questions that we're answering. We've trained our careers bot to answer over 200 questions about what it's like to work at our company. So that's now most organizations don't have the ability, the resources to sort of put a phone number on there or have live chat. So any candidate that hits their career site, they can engage with and answer their questions. So most prospective candidates, you've got the content in the job advert, the content on the career site, and then make your own decisions. Maybe you can check out Glassdoor and stuff like that. So just from a resourcing perspective, there isn't the ability to deliver a really good service and answer the questions from candidates. So we think a chatbot there is a really good solution. And then the next one I was going to talk about is the onboardee. So we've got onboarding software, we've got an onboarding chatbot we're just launching. Same type of thing. The chatbot's been trained on all of the types of questions that maybe a new employee might want to know. And it also has access to like policies and handbooks. So if someone asks a specific HR question, like how much notice do I have to give to book holiday or something, then the chatbot can answer that directly from the policy, giving a really good answer. Now, the onboardee, I think, if you've got a lot of questions and they say, this is your line manager, look, I'm really accessible, you know, this is my email, this is my phone number, text me if you've got questions. I think quite a lot of onboardees might ask a few questions, but there's going to be a limit where they think, oh, my manager is really busy. I know he mentioned that they were overworked anyway, and that, you know, the team is understaffed. They're desperate for me to come and join. I don't want to be pestering him or her with questions. So the chatbot would fit really well there. And then, you know, you're taking your questions on to the manager for the more, you know, the really important questions or the stuff that maybe is a bit nuanced.
Yeah, you've made such a good point there. And I think there's also a bit of an experience with candidates or onboardees where it's like, how many questions is too many questions as well. So having the AI chatbot there and also trained to answer those kind of questions is really helpful. What would you say, and I'm sure you'll have touched on this a little bit later, but from a neurodiverse perspective, how would a chatbot benefit them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's a large spectrum of neurodiversity out there, and I don't want to claim to be an expert on all of that. But it would, you know, I would imagine there would certainly be groups of neurodiverse new employees who would prefer to engage with a chatbot, would just find that, you know, the social awkwardness sometimes of contacting someone in the middle of their day, and just, you know, they would find it easier knowing that, you know, this is just AI, you know, it doesn't get offended, it doesn't get tired, it always has the same chirpy, happy, friendly outlook on things. So I think that definitely helps. And if you take away just neurodiversity, just talk about confidence levels, maybe a younger employee who's not so used to the workplace joining their first job, they can ask all the questions they want, you know, so that's something that they can feel more confident with as well.
Definitely. And I mean, if you were to look at my ChatGPT history and the kind of questions that might be on there that are very straightforward questions, but I'm like, I don't want to come across silly if I ask someone this. So I'm just going to ask ChatGPT. And I suppose it's a similar kind of situation there where it's like, no judgment. I just want an answer to this question. Because I know I've been in situations where there's been questions when I've wanted to onboard about, I don't know, perhaps like maternity pay, and I have no intention of having children anytime soon, but that's equally something that's important to know down the line. But you might not want to bring that up when you're onboarding because they might be thinking that obviously other things and so on and so forth. So you just want to get the answer to that question.
And that taps into the third use case that we're looking at as well, which is, you know, busy HR teams. And we do speak to a lot of busy, and once again, that's another department where they are typically under resourced. And they're getting fairly straightforward questions coming from, you know, their employees. You know, many of them not sat in front of computers and stuff. I'm sure it isn't easy for them to pull up the employee handbook and answer a question. So just having a chat bot that can answer, you know, the straightforward HR policy questions. And these chatbots are good as well. They can when they don't know the answer, they are, you know, they're trained to say, hey, I don't know the answer. They're not getting imaginative and checking the internet and thinking, well, what would, you know, a 500 staff insurance company feel about this subject? They're not doing that. If they don't know the answer, they're not answering.
And I think there's just so many benefits that we've already highlighted that a chatbot can do, and also so much time that could be saved. And time is money in recruitment, as we both know. Okay, so my final question for you, Adrian, is what advice would you give to anybody actually looking to implement an AI chatbot?
Yeah, I think looking at AI, I think at some point, maybe next year, someone will drop you an email, maybe knock on your door and say, how is your department getting on with AI? So I think you're probably going to want to get an AI project under your belt. I would have thought for a lot of people to be able to, you know, show that you're embracing it and being super productive. And I think these type of answer bots are really simple. They're not complicated to build. They're not expensive. What they do require, though, they do require your data to be in good health. You know, if you're using HR policies, they need to be up to date. If much of the information we found, I think it would be common for most companies about what it's like to work at Hireful and the questions candidates might have when we started thinking about it are sort of trapped in, you know, line managers' heads. You know, they might ask lots of questions about career development or learning and development or training or benefits, and getting all that information out of them. So we're using voice forms, so where hiring managers can sort of push the button and just waffle in an answer, because the text isn't going directly onto the website like the FAQ webpage I mentioned earlier. The chatbot just needs a bit of it's actually better to use voice to capture this information because you get a longer answer and more information. Someone can still read that transcript, which we would advise, and then add it into the data set. So gathering your data and getting that organized, that is the challenge. The building of the chatbot and managing how it sort of talks to your candidates, your staff, is not too difficult. And then one of the nice things that happens with these chatbots is every time they hit that question and they can't answer, that's available on a reporting basis for you.
Oh, great.
So then every month you can be looking at what are the questions candidates are asking that we don't have in our data set, and you can sort of fill that in nice and easily yourself. You can imagine during things like COVID and as things change and trends, and maybe how's your business using AI, you might see the candidates asking that more. You know, can I use ChatGPT? So there's always a new thing happening that you need to catch up with, and it's always great to be hearing what candidates are asking and trying to understand more about.
For sure, and it also just gives you more of an opportunity to train the chatbot to be able to answer those questions moving forward. Okay, great. So if you are watching this and you're in the market for a new HRIS, ATS, or recruitment CRM, then please do take advantage of our unique fee-free comparison platform, Rectec Compare. Or if you're watching this and you're looking to actually just build out your tech stack with complementary technology, then be sure to check out our tech marketplace at rectec.io. But thank you so much for joining me today, Adrian, and telling all of our viewers what is the ins and outs of chatbots.
Thank you, Hannah. Big fan of Rectec.